Lieutenant, anybody ever tell you you're very much like an arachnid?
What?
A tick. They're quite common, but excessively tenacious. They hang on. They let go only under extreme prodding.
No, I never heard of it.
Greetings, Columbo fans. Welcome to the latest episode of the Columbo Confab podcast. This is Sean.
And Steve.
And today we're going to be talking about Blueprint for Murder, the last episode in season 1 of the series, starring Patrick O'Neill and, of course, Peter Falk, and directed by Peter Falk, which is interesting. Apparently he was giving them a lot of guff. He wanted to direct an episode, and finally they threw him this one, and he never directed an episode again. Not that this was directed badly. I thought it was adequate, but yeah.
Interesting. So he never directed another one again, huh? Was
not to my knowledge.
Was Shara Denise in this?
Shara Denise is not in this. No, this is pre-Shara Denise.
So she probably hasn't been born yet at this point.
Yeah, she was like 7 when this came out.
More probably. Now, I love Shara Denise. She's wonderful. I we kind of make fun of her. She's our easy target, I think. But I like her. I mean, she's not bad.
Yeah, she's just no Jay Johnston.
It's just awkward to see her. That's all.
Yeah. So tell us what happens in this thing, Steve.
Oh, okay. I shut down the podcast with Shara Denise, and now I get to pick it right back up.
No,
okay.
You didn't shut it down. I just thought,
we had like no talking for about 10 seconds there, but unless you edit that part out. But anyways, okay, Blueprint for Murder. So we start off seeing this Cadillac, this golden colored custom Cadillac, just swerving around, cutting off another little red Volkswagen. Not a Volkswagen. What kind of car was that? I don't know, some ugly 70s car. And I love. Let's talk about the car for a minute.
Yes, please.
When my very first car was a 1972 Chevy Impala. It had the same color. Oh, it was so ugly. It was just as big too. It was a boat. So yeah, it's this gold Cadillac. I don't know what is it a DeVille? I'm not real sure. But it has a horse hood ornament, like really big horse hood ornament, and it also has pistols for door handles.
Yes.
That come and go.
Which,
by the
which
way,
you can see
so the car in question is being driven by none other than the soon-to-be murder victim, Beau Williamson.
Right. Okay, so Beau is played by Forrest Tucker.
Yes.
Who, believe it or not, I know this is going to be shocking, but he mostly did a lot of Westerns back in the day. But you know what he's famous for now, especially if you listen to the Gilbert Gottfried podcast, is that he rivals Milton Berle in the size of his penis. He is supposed to have a huge, gigantic horse dick.
I can see that. He seems like somebody that would be well endowed. Yeah. So when I first see him, he walks into Markham's office. He's looking for Markham, by the way, or Elliott Marham, the engineer or the architect to Williamson City. I couldn't place him, and I was like, I know that voice, I know that person, I know that face, and I could not place him. I had to really think about it long and hard, and it came to me. He's from F Troop. I don't know if you ever watched F Troop. On back in the day, I don't even know when that show was on. Probably around the same time frame. But also, funny enough, that another person on F Troop that also made it to Columbo was Larry Storch. Do you remember him?
Oh wow, yes.
He was the DMV driver guy or test driver in that Dick Van Dyke one.
Yeah, we haven't done that one yet, but yes.
We haven't done that one? Are you sure? We've talked?
No.
Okay.
We always talk about it, but it's never come up on the Swing the Wheel.
I think it's like negative reaction or negative something.
Negative reaction. Yeah.
Okay, so here we go. We've got two of the main, the comedy duo from F Troop. Mm-hmm. Kind of like they did kind of a. If anybody is not aware of F Troop, they had kind of like a Laurel and Hardy kind of relationship, where Storch was kind of the bumbling moron, and who's the guy who plays Williamson? What's his last name again?
Forrest Tucker.
Forrest Tucker was more of a big, loud guy that would get angry easily, which he plays in this episode. I mean, he's so loud. He yells at people. I mean, he's a real jerk.
Okay, I want to ask you something because, of course, you're from Texas. I live in Texas. We both live in Texas.
Oh yeah, his driving is just like in Austin. People see in Austin.
I thought it was like in Dallas.
That's racist.
But it's not mentioned that he's from Texas until a little while later when Elliott Markham calls him a volatile Texan. Mm-hmm. And he is such a stereotypical Texan that somebody in California would put in a movie. And I swear to God, people, not everybody in Texas is like this. There are some here and there, but really... And he's got, there's nothing wrong with country music, but this man has the worst taste in country music that I've ever heard, ever. I know it's probably just, stock music, but I'm sure we'll get to that shortly. So
yeah.
He's angry about Williamson City, and I'm a little confused about how this happens, but he goes to visit architect Elliott Markham, played by Patrick O'Neill, who up until 5 minutes ago I thought was the father of Ryan O'Neill. He is not, apparently.
No.
He was on today's sponsor show, Diagnosis Unknown. That's the sponsor of today's show. We have sponsors now. We've hit it big.
And I noticed that Patrick O'Neill has a fine helmet of hair, by the way.
Oh, yes. Now, does he look familiar? Have you maybe seen him somewhere before?
No. I've not seen him before that I'm aware of.
He has been in Columbo before. Well, not before this, but he was in the episode Make Me a Perfect Murder, starring Trish Vanderveer, in which she shoots television executive Lawrence, what's that guy's name? Lawrence Lunkenbill. It's the one that you watched at my house with me.
I don't remember that.
That's a while back. He plays their boss. That's a long time ago, though.
Before we continue on with the episode, there's actually one thing I want to discuss with you before we continue. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you there, but this is really important.
It's fine.
This is really important. So, on this DVD, on the menu, that you have to select the episode, right? Why do they have an old version of Columbo or an older Peter Falk, but it's on the first season? But then in the later DVD sets, you'll have the later seasons, but it'll have a younger Columbo. Why do
I have no idea.
That really bothers me. Like, you should have a young Columbo on the young season menus, and then an old Columbo on the older stuff. I don't know why I don't know.
I also don't understand why this episode is alone on its own DVD. They didn't want to put it... I mean, they've got 2 episodes of Columbo on a DVD, and they managed to fit an episode of Mrs. Columbo on there, but maybe they didn't want to hurt the integrity of the quality of the picture by squeezing 3 episodes onto... I don't know.
Well, you can only have so many people like Beau Williamson on a disc. I mean, he's so big and braggart that... Yeah, that's why.
Oh, he was so obnoxious. But, so, he goes out to Elliot's site where they're building a building.
Yes.
And they have a typical pre-murder argument in front of everybody. Now, did you recognize anybody in this scene, Steve?
Not at first. Not until later in the episode.
Okay.
But yes, there is a very, very familiar face. What was his name? The construction guy's name?
Carl.
So Carl apparently does quit the construction business and goes into the restaurant business later.
Actually, he goes into the police business.
Oh, does he? Oh.
Then he becomes the mayor. Then he goes into the restaurant business.
Mm-hmm.
No, not the mayor. He joins the police force.
Oh, he becomes chief.
He becomes the police chief,
mm-hmm.
And then he retires and lives next door to a sexy actress.
That's right. Yeah, so he gets around.
Of course, we're talking about John Finnegan, of course. Which this might be his first episode, but I don't quote me on that.
Interesting. Yeah, I was curious. I didn't know if this was this is first one or not. That's interesting. So yeah, it was interesting the argument. Which does it come back up in this episode as a clue for Columbo?
Yeah,
I don't think it
actually,
does.
It's actually Carl that mentions it to Columbo.
That's right. That's
a huge fight. Yeah.
So Beau and Elliot are having it out. We do kind of get the implication that Elliot is sleeping with Beau's young wife, Jennifer. You don't think so?
No. I think that he wants to sleep with her, but he's not. I think that...
I think there's a relationship going on there.
You think so?
Well,
really?
Yeah, because the very first thing Beau says is, I found a pile of letters this tall and with a bunch of blueprints. So he could have been implying that they were just discussing Williamson City, but I don't know. I have a feeling there was something a little more going on. Maybe it was hinted at in those letters. I don't know. And I think definitely Beau was suspicious of that relationship.
Yeah, I mean, I think that later on, after Beau's out of the picture, we see them playing tennis. They obviously carry on, some sort of a friendship. I wouldn't be surprised. Well, wait a minute. You know what? It's not as if it was like some homosexual relationship that they had to imply. They could have just had them having an affair, and that could have been part of the motive right there.
Right.
But the motive is actually a little bit more complicated. And this is what I don't understand. So Beau's been in Europe for like 8 weeks.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So while he's in Europe, Elliot and Beau's young wife Jennifer, get together and they plan out what we know as Williamson City. And we're not just talking about like an apartment complex. We're talking about a fucking town.
Fucking city.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah, it's like, how expensive can that possibly be? I don't think that anybody is that rich to fund an entire fucking like village. That's like, I didn't understand that. I mean, maybe they should have just had maybe an apartment complex or two, maybe a shopping mall. But Elliot is apparently, or Beau thinks that
he had that Austin, Texas money. I mean, come on.
I guess so. Yeah, and so Elliot is apparently a charlatan. He supposedly tricked Jennifer into agreeing to do this. Legally, I don't know how that works. Beau flips his lid when he comes back, and basically tells Markham, you're not going to do this with my money. I'm putting a stop to it, and
yeah.
I think you can even try to kill me, but that's not going to work because my money goes in trust and Jennifer won't have access to it. Right. So,
and I thought it was also really interesting that that we kind of see both characters where they kind of butt heads. So Markham, he wants to preserve art. He gives to the arts. He teaches at a local university. He wants his name to be remembered down in the annals of architect history. That's his goal, right? That's what motivates him. Now, the motivation for Beau Williamson is money. He even says, "I don't care about my name. I care about my wallet." And so you've got two guys that really need each other to get what they both want, but they can't stand each other, and they don't want to get to the same spot the same way. And that's where the conflict is that Elliott Markham wants to build this city, and really he says it's for Williamson because it's going to have his name on it. But he wants to put his name on it. These are my buildings, and he wants it to be known for that. He had books. He has books on his architect and architecture, and that's what gives him pride. And where Williamson just wants to make more money. So yeah. But yeah, so there's even a little threat. There's an idle threat. So they're at the construction site where they butt heads. And as you said earlier, Williamson says, you're not going to get a penny. Stay away from my wife. Stay away from me. Whatever you've started, stop it. It's you don't have any more funding. You're cut off. And that's where Elliot kind of gets desperate. and we find out why that he's going to kill him later. But yeah, so they leave the construction site, or Williamson leaves the construction site, and he goes and watches. I guess he has ponies that he races. So he goes to watch them. And
as you
Yeah.
do when you're from Texas and you're rich. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love that he has this. Actually, I find a very handsome outfit with the cowboy boots. The what kind of tie do you call that tie? That's like
a bolo tie.
That's not a bolo tie, but it's like a bolo tie. But anyways, he's got a nice hat. I mean, he's dressed to the nines. I would love to dress like that. And then
he's got a really nice jacket with nice thick fleece on the inside.
Well, no, yeah. So we see him where he's at the ranch now, and now he's wearing like this ski silver, like female or effeminate looking ski jacket.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it seems a little weird. His tastes are all over the place, and he's yelling at the horse. I mean, not only is he yelling,
beautiful.
The jockey said, "I'm going to, what do you call him? Cool him down or something like that," and he like just yells it back at him. It's just so weird.
So there's a scary moment in this. Right after that interaction with the trainer.
Oh, it'll make you. It makes you jump. By the way, yeah.
Gets into his car. Turns out Elliott Markham's been waiting in the back of the car, back seat of his car with a gun. And I'm sorry if that would be, this is when, I don't know what was going through Beau's mind, but he's probably like, well, this is it. I'm going to die.
Yeah, I'm surprised he kind of chickened out. You would think somebody like that would try to, drive the car off the road, try to crash it. That's what I would have done. But anyways.
Yeah, yes. You have, okay, so he says to Elliot, he goes, you're going to get yourself killed that way. And Elliot says, or the reverse. He says, now get out of the car and go into the barn over there. Mm-hmm. And Beau does exactly what he says. Now, Elliot is just this skinny little guy. I think that Beau could have easily overpowered him.
I think so, yeah.
And they go into the barn or the stable or whatever it is.
Yeah.
They close the door and we don't see what happens next.
Which actually, and it's I think a really important thing that they don't show Markham killing Williamson. Because that comes up later, where you start to second guess the murder, right? But yeah, that whole scene where he's in his car, and I guess Markham is like leaning down, so you can't see him until Williamson turns his head to reverse his car, and that's when you see all of a sudden his head there. It's just all of a sudden he was there. Oh no, sorry, he wasn't there, and then all of a sudden you just see him peeking out from behind him. It was really creepy. Like
it was like a Jason Voorhees type thing.
Yes, that's exactly. I was thinking Chucky, but Jason Voorhees. Yes, very creepy. Why do you think? Did he think he didn't shoot him there because? I guess that would have made a mess. Probably would have been harder to.
Yeah, because he's got to take. After that, he takes his car, drives it, or packs a bag of clothes, drives the car to the airport, and leaves it there.
Yeah. Now, you might be wondering where the wife is during this time. It is established earlier that she's on some kind of health spa vacation where she can't be contacted via phone or anything like that. So that's important, too, because he knows now the house will be empty. So he's able to go in and out of the Williamson home and do what he needs to do, like packing the bags and stuff like that.
Now we suddenly cut to, I guess, the next day, and Elliot is showing off his newest creation, some office building, which is supposed to be a great work of art, but to me looks like an office building.
Right.
And giving a very slightly sexist speech about all the men that will be working in the office building and how it will be a second home, and I don't know how the wives will feel about that, which I never picked up on before. And Columbo
I did not pick that up on this time. Yeah.
Columbo shows up and he wants to talk to Mrs. Williamson, and Jennifer's there, and he says that Mrs. Williamson called the police, and it takes them about 5 minutes of bumbling around to realize that it was the first Mrs. Williamson, Goldie, that called the police.
Yeah, Goldie is a character, by the way.
I love her. She was my favorite thing in this.
Oh yeah, only her friends called her Goldie, right? and she would call her friends lover. Hello, lover. I'm gonna refer to you as for the rest of the podcast as lover. Would you be fine with that?
She is the forerunner for Tyne Daly, I think. She is the earliest. She's Tyne Daly version 1. Actually, you know what? I think she would have been a great murderer. By the way, I mean, because she's got all the money, but she's fabulous. And
so the actress that played Goldie is Janice Page. I'm looking her up now. What was she in?
She's still with us, by the way. She's old, but she's still with us. She's convinced that Beau is dead.
Yes.
Because he didn't call her and tell her that he was going out of town, so he must be dead.
So she's a witch. Her instincts are great because, I mean, I think it's almost established that she starts to get worried about him when he dies. So she almost has a sixth sense, if you will, about Beau. And we also do learn about her odd relationship with Beau and Jennifer. Apparently, it's an interesting one. She gives more moral support to Beau, and Jennifer's just the fuck buddy. So,
yeah, interesting.
Do you think Goldie was like she just wasn't putting out anymore? She's like, I'm done with that. I'm just
because really ugly.
Because he's hung like a horse. I cannot take that anymore.
I'm sore. Look, I'm so sore. I need to have a massage every day. Oh my God! Let's talk about the massage scene. So Columbo first meets Goldie when she's having a massage by a Japanese masseuse. What is a female massage?
I thought it was masseuse. I don't know.
Like is a male a massage person a masseur? I don't know. And I have we haven't done any episode. I think that Columbo is into belly dancers and also Japanese
women.
Girls.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know why. There's another episode where this comes up and I can't think of it. But
yes,
loves the belly dancers.
It's murder. We haven't done it yet. But it's Murder Under Glass. And before the massage therapist leaves the room, she says something in Japanese to Columbo, and she bows, and he bows very politely, and then he actually says to her, he says, sayonara, si.
Si. Yes, a little Spanish there. I'm not real sure what he was doing there. Fortunately, Columbo speaks better Italian. Sometimes. Depends on the episode, though.
But in the same scene, a moment later, Goldie has a great line because she has to get up and put a robe on. And she says, Lieutenant, would you like to turn around? I don't want to corrupt you.
Yeah,
it's a great line.
It seems like Goldie would be a fun person to be with, definitely.
Oh, yeah. Well, she's got a drink screwed into her hand in every other scene, I think.
Yeah, so some of the personality traits of Goldie is, one, she likes to call her friends lover. So you could just be calling her. She goes, hello, lover. Kind of reminds me of that SNL skit. Then she also refers to Jennifer as the child bride.
Yeah.
And then the whole scene where turn around, I don't want to corrupt you. And Columbo is even like, what? what do you mean? She goes, well, I'm here half naked, and yeah, whatever. I was about to say something really obnoxious. But.
Yeah. So what happens next? There's a clue. The first clue, which was shown very well. Columbo goes to Beau's car at the airport, and he finds all of the country music CDs. Which
DVD.
CDs,
tapes, cassette tapes.
Yeah, cassette tapes. Which I did not realize that in the early '70s that these existed. I didn't realize that people could listen to these in their car. I just assumed they would be listening to 8-tracks.
Oh, is that? Yeah. I miss 8-tracks.
I do not. I'm a little bit too young for that. But
I remember those. Those are really cool looking too. But yeah, so I think it's funny. He's got a quarter of the LA police force at the airport just waiting on him as he's rummaging through this gaudy looking Cadillac. And so he's listening to the country music, and it's funny the way when Columbo's thinking very seriously about something, he's critiquing the music. He puts his his index finger under his chin, and he just kind of prunes up his face, right?
Yeah.
And then he ejects the tape, and he hears classical music being played, which is a clue. I know you like clues. So
love clues. I love clues.
So it's odd that Beau Williamson has the full cassette collection of all country music from the 1950s previous, and then he on his radio station he's listening to classical music, because that does not seem to be the kind of thing you would normally go between.
Right.
Yeah.
But we know, because we saw Elliot driving Beau's car, that Elliot enjoys classical music. And changed it to the classical music station because he didn't want to listen to that horrible country music.
So let me ask you this, Sean: do you prefer country music or classical?
Without a doubt, classical music. I own a lot of classical music.
Interesting. Yes.
Yeah. What about you?
I would agree with you on that. I like classical. I really don't like country music. There's certain types of music that I'm not big fans of. Country and like kind of gangster rap kind of stuff. Not fans of those two genres. But I do like classical. I've been known to listen to the local radio station. There's a kind of like a nice little classical station here in Dallas. That's really good. But yeah, I would definitely not listen to country. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if you picked up during the scene where Beau's about to get shot, and that's where Elliot's behind him. He puts on a cassette tape, and doesn't it sound like Benny Hill music?
Yes, yes, my God, yeah, it sounded like Texas Benny Hill. Yeah.
I was waiting for an old bald man coming around the corner, slapping his head.
A lady with melons where her boobs should be, running around in fast motion. Ah, those were the days. I'd really love to get me some Benny Hill on DVD.
Why don't you?
I miss Benny Hill.
Okay, so I also don't know if you noticed at the dedication site, when Columbo's trying to figure out who called the police, which Mrs. Williamson called. Did you like the champagne fountain? I want a champagne fountain. That looks like that would be a blast. The only fountains you find today are chocolate fountains.
Okay.
I want a champagne fountain. I don't want...
I think I've been somewhere where they had a champagne fountain. Maybe it was a wedding or something.
Wow.
I personally think that if you stick your hand in there with a glass to fill it with champagne, some champagne is going to get on your hand maybe and possibly drip into the rest of the champagne, and so you're going to be eating people's or drinking people's hand germs. Maybe I'm putting.
Maybe that's why I don't make them anymore. I don't know. I've seen a chocolate fountain, but I've never seen a champagne fountain. And the same goes with chocolate fountains. I would not want to touch one of those because it seems like it would be disgusting.
And he'd be like, whoops, I made a mistake. Whoa, there's chocolate everywhere. Whoa! Wow, chicken nuggies. Wow!
What's that from, chicken nuggies? What is that from? I just watched something recently with that.
The Djibouti dubs. How about some chicken
that's
nuggies?
what it was, sir.
You're cooking for robots!
Kathy, yes, Kathy. Chicken nuggets.
Whoa, it's on fire! Call the police!
Where was Kathy during the Columbo years? She should have been on. Inside joke, I guess. That's not going to go very far with her.
We're talking about the red copper pan Djibouti dubs. If you go on YouTube, type in red copper man Djibouti dubs, and you'll see what we're talking about there.
So, So back to the episode. So after Columbo leaves the airport, he goes to visit Goldie, and Jennifer's there. And so he's kind of stuck in between two odd situations. He's got one wife who thinks there's something definitely wrong, and the younger wife, the child bride, who thinks no, he always just jet sets off to Europe and leaves for weeks on end, and it's totally normal. We obviously suspect, Goldie she has been around. She has seen a lot. She knows things. Jennifer, the child, the child bride, is really what's the word I'm looking for? She's gullible. She's gullible. That's the word.
Yeah, she's gullible, and she's not a very good actress either. I kept. Oh, don't give me. Oh, it something about her voice. It sounded like they were dubbing her voice, like in what do you call it, ADR, and I couldn't put my finger on it, and it made me uncomfortable. But yeah, anyway, keep on going.
Well, no, and I mean, obviously, she's not very aware of the relationship that her dead husband had with Goldie. I think she's very unaware of that. She's also, it's even said earlier in the episode where we have Beau and Elliot arguing at the construction site. Even Beau says, like, my wife she's too young to realize you're just a con artist, but so yeah, obviously she's just stupid. Poor girl. But yeah. So Columbo he's in a room with the both of them, and that's when he sees that there's a doctor's appointment for the very next day, and it's to see his heart doctor about his pacemaker. Which, to me, I think this is probably the biggest clue that there's something wrong, because I don't know what technology was back in the 70s, whether 71, 72.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God.
So what was a pacemaker like back then? Like a refrigerator you had to, call around? But
yeah,
you had to have the batteries changed out, and that was surgery. And so, obviously, if you wanted to live, you probably... I would think that you would want that battery, make sure that was not going to die on you.
Yeah, otherwise you will die. Yeah.
Right. So that's a big clue, and so
so he goes to see the cardiologist, played by John Fiedler, which I've seen in a million other things.
Yes,
I just don't know what they are.
He did The Odd Couple. I know he did that TV show. He is the voice of Piglet in Winnie the Pooh.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
But he also did a lot of TV shows in the 70s and 80s. But I remember him from The Odd Couple, the TV show.
He was one of their friends that they were playing poker with all the time, and I think he was in the movie too. Okay. And he pulls out a pacemaker to show Columbo, and it's a fucking alarm clock. I'm like, oh my God.
That's what they were back then.
Jesus Christ. How can that fit in someone's chest? My God. So
1970s technology, man.
Yeah. Yeah. And he's really anxious to give Columbo a checkup, which you would never see today. You go in to ask a doctor a few questions and ask them to violate patient or doctor-patient confidentiality, and he immediately wants to take Columbo's blood pressure and all that. Doctors nowadays, no fucking way. No fucking way. They have to have your insurance card.
Is this the first time that somebody gives Columbo a hard time about his health and cigars?
Possibly, yeah, I think so. I think so, yes.
Because it's funny because obviously season 2 he picks up smoking again because it bothers him. This conversation he has with the doctor about you need to quit. I know better. I'm a cardiologist, and you find out later he kind of takes him seriously. But at the beginning of next season, I'm assuming he picks it right back up. But there's other episodes later where he's trying to quit or whatever, but never seems to last until, I guess, the last couple of final seasons of Columbo, where I'm assuming Peter Falk really just can't smoke them anymore.
Yeah. He was smoking cigarettes. He wasn't smoking cigars. All right, and then he plants... Actually, I think... See, this is where I get confused about this, because apparently Elliott Markham, we're led to believe, is supposed to plant the idea that the body... Oh, wait. I think we should... I'm sorry. We should talk about the fact that he goes to Elliot's office and sees his huge collection of classical music records. Okay? So that's a clue right there.
Well, yeah,
that's probably when he starts to suspect.
Yeah, he sees the record collection, and he also sees the model, because at this point, Elliot has been saying... Oh, Beau's really excited about this new construction. he's all on board. You know, I don't know why he left, but you know, no, he was totally on board with financing this. But Columbo's starting to see signs where they seem to have had an argument the day of his death or day before his death. I don't remember, but and one of them is when he goes to Markham's office, he sees that table that has the miniature model of the city destroyed, because at the beginning of the episode, Williamson like destroys it because he's so angry about it. So he sees that destruction. I would have cleaned that up right away, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He had a really nice office too, by the way. There is something important, and that's not really important, but when he shows up at Elliot's office, Elliot's not there, but his secretary is, and Columbo shows her his ID, okay?
Right.
Which I think is important. I'm going to mention it again later on. So, he's getting contradictory things, like Elliott Markham is telling him that Beau was so happy about Williamson City, but Columbo sees all these things that indicate that Williamson isn't. He finds out that Markham likes classical music, and then we're led to believe that apparently Markham plants the idea that if he were to kill somebody, he would bury them in the pile in the foundation of a building,
which is planned. Which is planned, by the way. He's planning that in Columbo's head for a reason.
But when does he plan it in his head?
We find out that he's teaching at a local university, so the secretary, who obviously has a crush on Elliot.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, who else would put up with that? But, So Columbo goes to college. Oh, wrong episode. Goes to the university and watches kind of the tail end of his lecture. And he's talking about how the Egyptians, how they built the pyramids, and how the architect would sometimes, in order to keep the secrets of the pyramid a secret, they would be buried alive, once the construction was complete. And so that's where Columbo kind of surfaces the idea about, if someone wanted to bury somebody a la, Jimmy Hoffa, we could...
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought of too, Jimmy Hoffa. Yeah.
That would be a great way to do it. But I think we find out that Elliot is kind of masterminding Columbo. He's playing Columbo at this point. He's trying to trick him, which I think he does a really does a really good job at it.
So the rest of the episode, but for one bit, is Columbo trying to get permission from the city and funding to dig up the pile to find out if Beau's body is down there.
Right.
Okay, because of course it's very important that Elliot established that Beau was still alive, because otherwise his wife won't have access to the money to fund Williamson City.
Right. Yeah, and Columbo, I think, off the bat suspects Elliot.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty obvious. There's no body, so there's no crime. There is a little detour that this story takes, though, and when they find one of Beau's hats next to the tennis court, soaked in blood, and
So this threw me completely. Yeah. I had to think about it. I'm like, because it seemed like Elliot was just as confused about the hat as Jennifer was. He wasn't expecting Jennifer. At first I thought he had planted it, but it didn't make much sense, really. One, he wasn't wearing the hat when he took him into the barn. So that told me one of two things. Either Elliot did not kill. All we saw was he walked him into the barn. So either that did not result in death, and something else happened, or he's planning it for some reason. So it was really weird. It really starts to make you think, well, maybe Elliot didn't kill him after all. Maybe there is something more to this. Were you confused? Do you remember the first time you watched this episode? Were you questioning that part?
I don't remember the first time I saw this episode. But I knew watching it for this that it was planted by Goldie, because she wants Beau to be dead because she gets 25% of everything.
Right.
But hearing you talk about it, it's kind of refreshing, because That is very, and it does confuse Elliot because a little bit later we see him in his office and he's blasting classical music and looking very confused and not working.
Yeah.
Until he's the one that confronts Goldie with the will and says, you planted this, didn't you? You got the same blood type.
I don't think he knows they have at that point. I think it was Columbo that surfaces that they have the same.
Oh, that's right.
AB positive or something like that.
Yeah. So that Goldie admits to it, and everybody agrees that there's no crime, which I don't know if that's really true. And then there is Columbo goes to the city to try to get the proper forms.
Oh, anybody that's ever had to, I don't know, pay taxes, go to the DMV for a license, knows the pain of long lines. And poor Columbo, they played this so wonderfully. I love this scene.
Really? Okay.
Why, you didn't like it? Did it bother you?
I thought it was very deadpan. He wasn't even seemed to be even reacting. And then when he finally gets the form that he needs, he goes back and the guy's like, "Oh, I'm on my lunch hour."
Well, no,
I don't know.
No. So yeah, he gets in line. He goes, "Oh no, you need to go to the other line because in order to." So okay, let me start from the beginning. He sees a line. Being a police officer, I'm sure he's thinking I can cut through. No. So this line looks pretty long. It's about 20 feet past the entrance of the door. So he
ridiculously long.
Yeah.
And it's all men, by the way. There are no women because women are just not interested in getting any kind of construction information at all in the early 1970s.
Wow. Okay. Well, I wasn't going to go there. But
I just made the opposite. I don't know.
So he reluctantly gets in line. He's the last person in line, and so he slowly waits as the line finally gets down to the guy. There's only one person working that office, right? He talks to him. He goes, "Oh well, you have to go to another line in another office to get this first, and then come back to me." So he reluctantly sighs, leaves, goes to the other line, just as long. He finally gets what he needs. He goes back to the original line. Oh, there's no line. How refreshing! He's the first person. Goes up to him and he's eating lunch. He's like, "I'm sorry, you have to come back at 1:00. I'm eating lunch right now." I would have stayed there and watched the guy eat. I would not have left.
Maybe I didn't like it because I think it was done better in other episodes. I think even in not long ago we talked about Columbo and the murder of the rock star. He does it in that episode too. And then there's the one where he goes to find some guy's information where he used to work and he has to deal with the snotty computer lady for 5 minutes. Yeah, I don't know. It didn't impress me that much. I was whatever.
He didn't like it. Okay, well, I thought it was funny.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
poor Columbo. All he wants is to get what he needs, enjoy a cigar. No, he can't even unwind with a cigar at this point. Poor guy.
So he gets the pile dug up. There's no body. Oh my gosh, what are we gonna do?
Oh yeah. Where'd he go? So Markham calls out the press too. He's going to make Columbo basically get fired. I think at this point, because I cannot imagine what the cost is behind that. Goldie's his only supporter. She's the only one that is. She doesn't help much. She could do more, I think, instead of just giving him words of encouragement. But whatever. But we also find out that Columbo, he had his at one point, because he has the will, Beau Williamson's will, and he had his cousin or his brother-in-law read the will. So that was interesting. Free legal advice.
And that's when he finds out that there is no money if Beau dies. It all goes into trust.
Right.
Although, if he's still alive, Jennifer has control of the money, and Williamson City can be a thing.
So the scene where they're digging up the pylon. Was there any particular construction worker that caught your attention?
The really fat guy with no shirt.
Was he fat? I didn't think he was fat.
Oh, well, I don't know. Why? Do you think, like, he was attractive? No. I mean, it was like,
no.
Hey... he'd be like, well,
they don't show him like once. They don't show him twice or three. They show him like a half dozen times. They show him.
I'm waiting for one of these guys to turn to the other and say, I really want to try that recall place. The what? That place. Recall. I don't know why. Every time I see
that construction guy was in Columbo. The one where Columbo has to play different. What was one of the later ones?
Undercover?
Undercover.
That guy in Total Recall was in that?
Yeah. Wasn't he? Wasn't he?
I don't remember that one very well.
Well, listeners, please email us if we're wrong or right.
ColumboConfab@gmail.com.
Okay, so yeah.
Recall. You've seen the commercial.
So
I'm giving him an Italian accent. I don't know.
That's awesome. So Elliot invites the press. He's going to embarrass Columbo publicly. And again, that's part of his plan. Because as we start to find out... Oh, wait. Before I continue, we need to... There's one thing that Goldie says that bears mentioning at this point. So Goldie is very happy that Columbo is doing what he's doing. She feels like he's doing his job. And she says something to the effect of, I wish we could... Well, no, we could have used someone like you at the Alamo.
Oh, yeah.
What the fuck does that mean?
For the record...
were you alive back then, Goldie? Maybe.
Yeah. I am so tired of the Alamo. Steve, there is no basement
yeah, I know.
in the Alamo.
Paul Rubin would be an excellent murderer in a new Columbo series.
Paul Rubens?
Mm-hmm.
I actually think RuPaul would be a good murderer because I think RuPaul's a lot more ruder and sassy.
Sassy?
But
she's so sassy. Sorry. But yes, Paul Rubens would be, I think, an excellent murderer with his little goatee.
Okay, anyway. It's yeah.
So the Alamo. So they could have really used Columbo at the Alamo, which I don't know what that means.
Who would be a really good murderer in Columbo? There's this new show there by this Jim Carrey. He's making a comeback. He's in a show, and I can't remember the name of it, where he is basically like he hosts a Mr. Rogers type show. But he's actually like going crazy or something. I want to see that on Columbo. A guy who hosts a kids show that's actually just a complete fucking
Isn't Jim
asshole.
Carrey actually going crazy though?
I don't know. I haven't seen the show, so I'm not.
Well, no, I'm just talking about interviews with Jim Carrey. Seems like he's going.
Oh, he is going. Yeah, it seems so. Did you see that thing on the Netflix? I can't remember what. Me and Andy or Andy and Jim, something like that. Where he talks about when he.
He's going nuts over there.
Yeah.
Jim Carrey would be an excellent villain. Yes.
He does crazy really well, and he does I think that anyway. Where were we?
Okay, so they dig up the pylon. There's nothing, and the reporters are all wanting like a statement, and we even find out Elliot has a statement prepared. He's ready. He's going to bury Columbo. I mean, I really feel sorry for the guy at this point. Anybody who goes after Columbo like that, it's just mean. It's just it's just unnecessary. But there is a reason to it. So we find out the reason being is that Elliot has not moved the body from the barn. So he waits until that evening when they're going to have to re-pour the pylon. And he thinks no one's going to search the same place again, especially after embarrassing the LAPD over all this. So he picks up the body. He's going to plant the body at the base of the pylon for cementing the next day. Mm-hmm. And it's so funny because I don't know if this was planned, but on his way he gets a flat tire.
Not planned. Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good scene.
Yeah, a police officer pulls him over to assist because now the body is in the back in the trunk, right? And so the officer says, "Hey, that was some great handling. You had a left front flat. I'll help you. Why don't you pop your hood, and I'll help."
Oh wait,
you. Yep.
Wait. There's something that also happens. He says, "Can I see your license and registration?" Which, side note, I don't know what the fuck registration is, but
Like
so
insurance,
Elliott Markham gives the cop his license and registration, and if you look very closely, with the magic of DVD, he gives him Columbo's ID.
What?
He actually gives him Columbo's
Are
ID.
you sure?
Like they didn't have any other props or anything that looked like an ID.
Are you sure?
So he used,
that doesn't sound
he
right.
used this. He used the same one that Peter Falk used earlier in the episode when he shows it to his secretary. I'm positive. Check it out.
Huh.
Check it out. Go back and look at the dailies. He totally gives him Columbo's ID.
I don't think I'm going to watch this one again. But anyways, okay, good to know.
So I don't know. At this point, Steve, did you know what was going to happen? We're talking about like 5 minutes.
So I thought,
okay,
how's he going to get out of the cop? Yeah, you got 5 minutes left in the episode. What's going to happen? The cop's offering to help him change the flat. Just pop the trunk, which, by the way, is where Beau Williamson's body is, wrapped in, I don't know, brown paper.
Burlap, like
burlap.
It's probably smelling by now too. I don't know how.
Oh yeah, must be. So he tells the cop that it's also flat. Can you just get me a tow truck? He gets out of that. The cop leaves. He's able to change his flat, and so he's back to the construction site. He's getting ready to dump the body at the base of this pylon, which I really learned a lot about construction, by the way. I did not realize that pylons got buried down that deep. But anyways, so all he had to do is just dump this body into a pit. And boom, lights go on. Columbo has been waiting there with half of LAPD waiting in the dark, which would have been a fun, interesting way to have a conversation. Could you imagine just sitting in the dark, maybe waiting for somebody to show up? like yeah. Frank, you better get this right, or you're fired.
Yep.
So yeah, no, he'll be here. And did I tell you about my brother-in-law?
And what's really interesting how it ends is he actually tells Elliott Markham that it was such a really smart, clever plan. And Markham lights a cigarette and gets in the back of the squad car and is driven off. And roll credits.
Well, no. So yeah, he lights a cigarette, rolls off. Columbo gets in his car. So I guess we haven't seen Columbo's car yet. I mean, the first season.
No, we have. I think we have.
Oh, we have?
I'm pretty sure we have. I'm thinking of the other episodes. No, we have. I know that we have.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay. So he pulls out his cigar, kind of a celebratory smoke, and he realizes, no, I'm not going to smoke these anymore. Until next season.
If there is a next season.
There is.
Yeah. And then we roll credits and the horrible music that's in this episode, which... Ugh.
So, okay.
I forgot to look for numbers.
Oh,
shit.
Wow, there's numbers all over the place on this one.
Oh, crap.
Okay,
right.
So
I'm gonna guess. Can I guess what number you're gonna pick?
Yes, please.
312.
312. Why do you say 312?
That is the suite of the office where he had to stand in line. I don't know what the office was.
Oh, very clever. I know I did not see that.
It's also the original area code for Chicago.
Okay, why would that be in Columbo? That's
I don't know.
Weird.
But they do have offices in office.
Okay, no, I'm going to ask you to rate this 1 out of 52.
1 out of 52.
Yeah.
Wait. 52. Where did you get 52 from?
Are you asking?
Is somebody 52 years old?
No. The classic radio station is on dial 52.
Very good.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I honestly thought for sure you would have gotten this one this week. Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I think this is a boring episode. I think that I've obviously seen it before. I know the whole shtick with the, Beau's is dead, but he's going to bring the body back, and the hat was planted by Goldie. There are really only 2 clues in the whole thing, and one is the classical music and the country music, and the other is the doctor's appointment. I think for a shorter episode, it's padded. The scene where they dig up the pile is too long.
Yes.
I'm just gonna rate it right down the middle and give it a 27. I just think it's. I just find it should be a little bit better than it is, but it's not, and I don't know why. I don't know if it's the direction. I don't know if it could be a little more funny. I didn't really like Patrick O'Neill, the murderer. It's not that he did a bad job, but from what he was given, it was a very dull part. It's just very unremarkable Columbo. It's just middle of the road, and it's not really fun to talk about. Like the last one that we talked about, Columbo and the Murder of the Rock Star. That had its problems, and it was fun to talk about. This one is just there. I've never really liked it, and I always was very frustrated. I maybe it's because we don't see the murder too, and so it's kind of gimmicky for me.
I think they do that on purpose, though.
They did. That's how I feel about it. You go ahead and rate it now.
Well, no, and I think that that was the one thing where it definitely made me guess. So I'm sorry, you said what? 27. 27. So one of the things that definitely made me kind of second guess everything was when Elliot and Jennifer, after playing tennis, find the hat with the blood. Because you start thinking, well, he wasn't wearing a hat when he went into the barn. 1 and 2, Elliot seemed really confused by it. So it made me thinking, well, maybe he actually did leave, and maybe the ex-wife Goldie actually did kill him. It starts to play with you a little. I wish they could have played on that a little bit longer than 5 minutes that it takes you to figure it out. Because it did throw a twist into it, which I did enjoy. Like maybe what we know all along is not the fact, but whatever. I thought actually the actress who played Goldie, what was her name, Janice Page. I thought she did a great job. I found her.
I agree about that.
She was very enjoyable to watch. I didn't really care for Patrick O'Neill. Character in this. I don't know him from anything else, so I'm sure he's a great actor. He's obviously got a history with doing television. I just don't. I'm not familiar with him. I didn't think the murder was very memorable, except for the one scene where he's waiting for him in the back seat of that car. I thought that was really creepy. But like you said, it was kind of a boring episode. It just, I don't know. I have no interest in watching this again. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. So I would also want to score this down the line. I said 52. So I guess I would give it like 24.
Yeah, we're. It's just there. It's just
It's got a few good scenes, but it's just drowned it out by just it's kind of tedious to me. I do want to ask you this one question though. Do you think that Bo Williamson and Clifford Calvert would have gotten along?
Oh God, yes, of course. I knew exactly who you were talking about. Yeah, Clifford from A Trace of Murder. Yeah, they would have been good buddies.
Yeah, could you imagine them in a bar together? Oh my God. Wearing their cowboy hats, smoking big cigars, and
and I got on the phone and they put me on with some woman.
Yeah.
All right. Well, before we reveal what we're going to talk about next week, It's time to take a pee break and also hear a word from our sponsor.
After these messages, we'll be right back.
This insect solves the crime. An ordinary pen, the instrument of murder. A drop of blood, the clue to a killer. I'm Patrick O'Neill. I play Dr. Dan Coffey, pathologist in a new and exciting mystery series, Diagnosis Unknown. Playing my lab assistant is Phyllis Newman, and my colleague from India, Dr. Mukherjee Kalbalini. And this, of course, is Chester Morris.
I'll be on hand every week along with Patrick O'Neill and the others as police work and medical science join forces.
You want to take a look at this blood slide?
Yeah. And why don't you take a look, too?
Okay, we have one bit of feedback that I'd like to share.
Oh, good.
This is from Gen Z, emailing us again. She says she's talking about our episode about Rest in Peace, Mrs. Columbo. She says, it occurs to me that Rest in Peace, Mrs. Columbo isn't really the one episode that definitively proves Mrs. Columbo exists.
I agree.
Though it's a good one in that vein for sure.
As a matter of fact, I think it proves the exact opposite.
Okay.
In spades.
All right.
Yeah.
I'd say that the one episode that blows Steve's ridiculous theory out of the water, see what I did there, is the cruise ship. The cruise ship one.
No.
I mean, unless Steve is delusional enough to claim a group hallucination across several different characters. But I guess we'll find out when the Groovy's 70s Wheel of Columbo Fortune picks that one for us. Thanks for the continued entertainment. You make my public transportation time tolerable, Jen. Do you know what she's talking about?
Oh, yeah, the Troubled Waters one, yeah.
Yeah, that's when somebody else actually sees Mrs. Columbo. And
Supposedly.
So you're saying that person lied?
No, they were mistaken. They thought they saw somebody like Kate McGrew and was actually somebody else.
Okay. Alrighty. Whatever. Okay. Well, Steve, I think the time has come. We have got 4 more to go.
Oh. Thank God.
Spin the Wiggin' Wheel of the 90s. We are going to watch Sex and the Married Detective, starring Lindsay Krause as a sex therapist.
I tried watching this once.
Yeah, because I remember when we recorded this podcast, and then we recorded the same episode that was on the disc with it. I want to watch that. And then I went to a party, and you're texting me while you're watching it. You have no memory of this, do you?
I know it's texting you. I have no memory of watching it. That's the thing.
All right, so that's what we're going to watch next.
I remember being turned on. That's all.
Great. So we're going to talk about that next time.
Oh boy.
This is the one with the tuba, by the way. I'm just going to put that out there.
Oh, wonderful.
And leave it at that. So, Sex and the Married Detective coming up next. All right, Steve. Anything to add to today's merriment?
I love soft porn.
All right. Well, in that case, good night, everybody.